Welcome back to Area DMG. I am your host, Philip Wesley, the Mile High Mouth, and for today's episode of GameWorthy for Area DMG, we are looking at Overcooked for the PlayStation 4 from Ghost Town Games, and this is it's for 1 to 4 players. It's rated E for mild cartoon violence. It retails for about $16.99. I think there's going to be a physical release, which is going to retail for about $20, and it takes about 546 megabytes on your hard drive if you're playing on PS4. And what do I think of this game? Well, let me first explain a little bit about what Overcooked is. Overcooked is kind of like if you played Fantasy Life or games like in Fantasy Life, there's a cooking mini game where you're just doing you're doing repetitive actions to cook food. There's say Cooking Mama or those types of things, or Diner Dash to an extent. This is a resource management game. If you're playing it in single player, you control 2 chefs who look like little Muppets, and the basic idea is to cook food. The little orders show up on the top part of this, like say hamburgers. In order to make a hamburger, you need to have the ingredients. So you need buns, lettuce, tomatoes, and meat, right? You need those 4 ingredients. So you need to chop up the lettuce, the meat, and the tomatoes, and you don't need to worry about the buns. You need to cook the meat and then combine all the ingredients and put it on a plate and then deliver it within a certain amount of time before the order disappears. And you have a certain time limit to do this, so it's a little bit arcadey. This particular game demands that you multitask to get the best out of your system. So if you're playing it first single player, you're going to set somebody up, and you're going to have to deal with whatever gimmick the stages have. For example, some stages have sections you can't access until you hit a button, or there might be an earthquake between them, or you might be on a ship that's moving, or there might just be revolving stuff and you can fall off into the lava, and that causes you to waste time because you have to respawn. Basic idea in these is to hit enough points by delivering orders to go ahead and get 1 to 3 stars. When you get 1 to 3 stars in a level, you can use those stars to access later levels and unlock other characters, competitive levels, and other content, which overall I think it's pretty good in terms of content. There's about, I would say, close to about 30 stages to go through, including a final boss stage where you're taking on a Cthulhu-esque, flying spaghetti monster-esque thing called the Peckish One. It hungers! Oh, there's a storyline for this. A lot of this game has a really good storyline. Basic idea is the Onion Kingdom. The Onion Kingdom. Onion. The Onion Kingdom is in trouble, and the Onion King from the Onion Kingdom has charged you, his noble chefs, I don't know. I can't really tell. It seems to be the Onion King, but who knows? Anyways, you are charged with preparing for the arrival of the Peckish One by training and learning how to do all these little cooking things. It's a bunch of cooking mini games, and the real fun of it, the single player is actually kind of boring. It's resource management. So I'm like, okay, I'll switch between 2 characters. You go up to an item, hit the button, carry it to another item, hit it, sit down, then hit a button, and your character will automatically start doing, like, say, chopping lettuce, and then you can switch to the other character and have them go off and do something. It's just time and resource management. If you're a fan of strategy RPGs or like the real-time ones, like StarCraft or whatnot, then you're used to multitasking. If you're a fan of, say, like Five Nights at Freddy's, where there's a lot of multitasking in that, you're doing multitasking. That's what this is. Single player, it's okay. It's actually fairly easy to get the stars, and it's an okay game single player. But where it really shines is in multiplayer. It has 4-player multiplayer co-op, where you're working together to complete these orders. And because you're dealing with the chaos of obstacles inside the stage, and the chaos of accidentally bumping into other things, or let's say you leave something too long and it burns and your kitchen catches fire, all sorts of things can go wrong. if you've got a well-oiled machine and good communication between you and your friends, then things will get done effectively. There's also a competitive mode, which you can pit teams of 2, or even 3 against 1, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I'll have to try that at some point. I've only done like 1-on-1, 1 versus 1, etc. I've only done a little bit of that so far, and I'm going to keep playing this because it's pretty good so far. I rather like it. I beat the main game. It's good. Last boss is pretty great. Last level's pretty good. A lot of the gimmicks in each level are pretty good. There's some gimmicks where I'm like, well, I got 3 stars in that, now to never go back to it. Although I may have to, because if you set high scores, you'll unlock more items. Overall, this is a pretty good game if you can play it in multiplayer. The competitive multiplayer is pretty good, although competitive multiplayer would be great if it had an online component or online rankings at least. There needs to be an endless mode too, like a do it till you fail type thing where orders just get faster and faster. That's something this is missing. There's a story mode, but there should be a single player mode where you pick a level and then you just play it until you die to try and get like the highest score or whatnot. And then just have it so like if you miss 3 orders or something, you lose. And then just keep piling them up. There's a lot more that could be done with this game. It just recently came out, so maybe they'll patch some of those features in later on. But as right now, if I were giving it a score, I would probably give it a B-. It's got some really good potential. The multiplayer cooperative is pretty chaotic, although once you've got it down and running like an well-oiled machine, you can blaze through these levels pretty easily. And the single player is kind of dull. What it needs is an endless mode. It needs online, not cooperative, but competitive. And online rankings would be good for, like, say, an endless mode. It needs more to it. There is a retail version coming out, I think in Europe, and I think also in the United States. So, yeah, if they pack that in there and then add more to it, like it needs DLC, it needs a lot to it. Right now it's a B- effort, but with more stuff in it, they could raise that grade quite a bit. But as of right now, I think October 9th? Yeah, as of October 9th, I bought it on sale. It's $16.99 in the PlayStation 4 eShop. Sorry, PlayStation 4 PlayStation Store. And that's okay and worth it if you have multiple people to play with. But if you're only playing single player, it's not worth that price. I would wait until it's on sale. Bought it on sale about like $14.99. That's okay. That's a good price for what you're going to get out there if you want to play it with other people. It's fun. It's addictive. But if you're just playing single player, you might want to wait for it to be on sale for like $10. Overall, I liked it. It's a pretty good game. It's definitely worth it for playing as a party game. I mean, if you remember how you hate everyone after Mario Party, or even Super Smash Brothers to an extent, Overcooked is kind of like that, but cooperative. The competitive mode is okay, but eventually you will get to a point where you completely overshadow it, and then you've got people winning by a margin of like 2 points. Because the sooner you get stuff out the door after it's cooked and ready, the higher a tip you get. So yeah, it's missing some modes, and they could easily rectify that. Overall, I think it's worth it. It's a worthy game. I'm your host, Philip Wesley, the Mile High Mouth. I think Overcooked for a PlayStation 4 is worthy. If you like this game, or if you've bought this game, or you're playing it right now, and like wondering, why am I watching this on my phone when I could be playing more of this game, let me know in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up, go ahead and like the video if you haven't already. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Go ahead and share if you haven't already. And until the next video comes out, you are now caught up.